Okay, there we are on. Ooh. So let's see, top of page 34. Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra 3 times. Taya ta mune mune maha mune soha. Taya ta mune mune maha mune soha. Taya ta mune mune maha mune soha. And next we're going to do Medicine Buddha. Bhagavan, with equal compassion for all, whose name one merely heard, dispels the suffering of the lower realms. Dispeller of disease and the 3 poisons, I prostrate to Medicine Buddha, lapis light. Tayata Om Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rajasamya Gate Soha. Tayata Om Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rajasamya Gate Soha. Tayata Om Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rajasamya Gate Soha. Tayata Om Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rajasamya Gati Soha. Tayata Om Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rajasamya Gati Soha. Tayata Om Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rajasamya Gati Soha. Tayata Om Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rajasamya Gate Soha. I'd like to say the refuge in bodhicitta prayer. We'll say it 3 times. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha. The 4 measurables, we'll say it once and then we'll say the 7-1 prayer. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Reverently I prostrate with body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, just in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remember until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. And now we'll say 8 Chenrezig mantras and 7 Green Tar mantras. Am I on the right page here with this? No, I meant, am I with the program? Your program. Well, I know, but I meant, I sometimes lose the script. Okay, so it's the bottom of page 37. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Green Tara. Om Tari Tutari Ture So Hao ha. Om tari tu re so 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 ha. Thank you for picking up the tune. Clearly I was creating another one of my own, as Geshe-la so often reminds me. Well, happy Father's Day. Any fathers here? Few? Let's see. Only 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay. So, well, I'm going to start with a little bit about Father's Day. And this is a quote I just actually found this morning, so I decided to add it. The net of Indra is vast, bejeweled matrix spanning and encompassing the whole universe. From memory knot hangs a jewel, and each jewel reflects all the other jewels within the net. My father's life was one jewel hanging from a knot in that infinite web, and in that jewel was reflected my life, my family's life, and my mother's life. So I thought about the challenges of parenting, and I couldn't think about it too long because I quickly become overwhelmed. My experiences of parenting, although brief, not because of a death, but included everything from being the target of projectile vomiting at 3 a.m. To holding hands and playing in ocean waves. And this reminded me of a story about Lama Yeshe, who for me in some ways epitomizes the kind of parent that we all aspire to be. In one of the November courses, he was walking down the hall to, go to the Kadampa to teach. And as he did, a woman passed him, one of the students passed him and said, "Oh, Lama, I won't be there, I don't feel well." And Lama said, "Oh dear, please take care of yourself." And he proceeded down the hall in one direction and she in the other. Well, about 10 feet later, Lama Yeshe bent over and vomited. And suddenly the young woman felt much better and attended the teachings. And I thought, what a story of what we'd like to be able to do for our children. Although vomiting not being one of my preferred activities. Praying to the porcelain goddess is not high on my list. These days, to celebrate fathers, we have to celebrate both fathers and mothers, because so many people in this world who are parents have the challenge of fulfilling both roles. So, with that said, could I borrow a mic, Donna? Would any of the children who would like come up and join me? I've got a couple of questions for you. They're not hard questions. Ah, come on. Be brave. Well, I'm going to come down there, so. I'm going to give it a try, okay? Well, let's see, is it on? There, it's on. Oh, we've got a recruit? Okay. Okay. Come on. Come on. Oh. Okay, so we're going to start with you. Can you? Talk about, Venerable Rabina is coming, so this is practice for being put on the spot.
No hiding.
So, can you tell me one thing you like about your mother or father?
She's in the room, so that's not fair.
No, it's okay. We can ask her to leave the room.
She gives the best hugs.
Wow, okay. Can you tell me one thing you like? What? Okay, sorry.
She gives the best hugs.
Did that come across? Thank you.
She buys me toys.
She buys you toys. Okay, okay. So, can you think of something you really don't like? And that's okay too, because I have lots of things I didn't like about my parents. It's okay.
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
She gets me homework.
She gets you homework. Okay, okay, so that's a good one. Anything like that for you? Well, does she get to be perfect today?
Oh, I know something.
Okay.
Actually, I forgot it.
Okay. Does your mom ever forget to do something she said she'd do for you?
Not really.
Not really? Wow. Gosh, can I come home with you? Can I come home with you? Hi. Are you a recruit? You got volunteered, huh? Okay. Can you think of something you like about your mother or father?
They're very loving.
They're very loving. Wow. Okay. Anything you don't like?
They yell.
They yell. Ooh. I come from a house like that. So you can see that parenting has a lot of ups and downs. Yeah. So no, you guys, you can stay here. Do you want to stay here next to me? Yeah. Okay. So let me done. That's done. I turn that off. Not get in trouble with that. So what I'd like to do is to appreciate all parents, particularly fathers, is to recite the praises to the 21 Taras. We are reciting this both to appreciate parents and the many obstacles that they face, but we're also saying it to support Lama Zopa Rinpoche's plans for the next light of the path. I see the two as connected. Lama Zopa dedicates his whole life to helping us end our suffering. And for many of us, the Dharma has been a way that we've healed from sometimes painful parenting experiences. So let us say these praises to support all the positive ways in which we parent and are parented. Donna, would you mind leading them? Do you mind? I mean, if that's a problem. It's page 191, I believe. Yes, you can. Or you can sit up here with me and read. Want to go? Good. I would go too. Thanks, Donna.
From your sublime abode at the Potala, O Tara, born from the green letter Tam, your crown adorned with Amitabha, action mother of the Buddhas of the three times, Tara, please come with your attendants. The gods and demigods bow to your lotus feet, O Tara, you who rescue all who are destitute. To you, Mother Tara, I pay homage. All my prostrate to the noble transcendent liberator. Homage Tara, swift heroic, eyes like lightning instantaneous, sprung from opening stamens of the Lord of Three Worlds, tear-born lotus. Homage she whose face combines 100 autumn moons at fullest, blazing with light rays resplendent as 1,000-star collection. Homage golden blue and lotus, water-born in hand adorned, giving effort, calm austerities, patience, meditation, her sphere. Homage crown of Tathagatas, actions triumph without limit, relied on by conquerors' children, having reached every perfection. Homage filling with Tutare, whom desire direction and space, trampling with their feet the seven worlds, able to go forth all beings. Homage worshipped by the All-Lord, Chakra, Agni, Brahma, Marut, honored by the host of spirits, corpse racers, Gandharvas, Yakshas. Homage with her trade and paid sounds, destroying foes' magic diagrams, her feet pressing left out right. ride in, blazing in a raging fireplace. Homage Turi, very dreadful, destroyer of Mars champions. She with frowning lotus visage, who is slayer of all enemies. Homage at the heart her fingers, adorn her with three jewel mudra. Lightweight masses all excited, all directions wheels adorn her. Homage she so joyous radiant, crown emitting garlands of light. Mirthful laughing with tutare, subjugating Mars devas. Homage she able to summon all earth guardians assembly, shaking frowning with her home sign, saving from every misfortune. Homage crown adorned with crescent, moon all ornaments most shining. Amitabha in her hair knot, sending out much light eternal. Homage she mid wreath ablaze like eon ending fire abiding. Righteous left and joy surround you, troops of enemies destroying. Homage she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it, scaling with the letter whom the seven levels she does conquer. Homage happy, virtuous, peaceful, she whose field is peace nirvana. She endowed with Om and Soha, destroyer of the great evil. Homage she with joy surrounded, tearing foes' bodies asunder. Freeze with whom a knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters. Homage Turi with seed letter, of the shape of syllable whom. By foot stamping shakes the 3 worlds, Meru Mandara in Vindhya. Homage holding in her hand the hair mark moon of Deva lake form, with twice spoken Tara and paid, totally dispelling poison. Homage she whom gods and their kings and the Kinnaras do honor, armored in all joyful splendor, she dispels the dreams and conflicts. Homage she whose 2 eyes bright with radiance of sun and full moon, with twice Hara and Tutare, she dispels severe contagion. Homage full of liberating power by the set of 3 natures, destroys hosts of spirits yakshas and race corpses supreme Turi. These praises with the root mantras and prostrations thus are 21. Flip back to page 190 for the prayer of the benefits. Whoever is endowed with devotion for the goddess and recites this with supreme faith, remembering it at dawn upon waking and in the evenings, we grant that all fearlessness will perfectly pacify all negativities and will eliminate all unfortunate migrations. The multitudes of conquerors will quickly grant initiation. Thus endowed with this greatness, one will eventually reach the state of a Buddha. If affected by the most terrible poison, whether ingested, drunk, or from a living being, just by remembering will one be thoroughly cleansed. If this prayer is recited 2, 3, or 7 times, it will pacify all the suffering of torments caused by spirits, fevers, and poisons, and by other beings as well. If you wish for a child, you will get a child. If you wish for wealth, you will receive wealth. All your wishes will be fulfilled and all obstacles pacified.
Reading those benefits, I can't think of any better aspirations to wish all fathers and all parents as they do the Herculean task of the commitment to raise children. Thank you. So, she's counting the house. Oh, right, for our count. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Okay, so the topic is the Eightfold Path, or how to fake it till you make it. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Guys, take your snacks, go, enjoy yourself. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot. Have a good time. Girl. Adriana was going to be here. Is Adriana here? What? Yeah, she's here. There's going to be a family program. There's going to be kids. It's a parent and family program, right? I'm sorry. So parents are welcome to go with the children if they wish. They're welcome to stay.
Children and parents stay together.
Okay, thank you. I obviously don't have this script. Thank you.
So for the summer program, children and parents stay together, which means you're welcome to stay in the Kadampa, children and parents together. And if the children are leaving to go for the family program, the parents go with them. Thanks.
Okay. You guys, what do you want to do? Want to stay? Want to,
I'm going, but no
Oh. Well. Well. Well, let's see. You're the only one that wants to go, right? Bye. Okay. Well, before I begin this, I want to say that everything I say is the cloudy understanding of this nun, and not the official position of the FPMT, and any errors are mine. And the reason I say that is I decided I would like to do the topic of the Eightfold Path. And as I've tried to prepare this, I've repeatedly thought to myself, whose idea was this? It is not common to talk about the Eightfold Path in our tradition. But the Eightfold Path exists both in the Pali text and the Sanskrit text. And Asanga and Vasubandhu, who wrote the Abhidhammakosha, which is the premier text of Buddhist philosophy, both included and talk about it. Within our tradition, it is the wisdom realizing emptiness that leads to liberation or nirvana, and with further progress or work, enlightenment. In the Theravadan tradition, it is the full realization of the Eightfold Path that leads to nirvana. So when I was thinking about what to talk about on Father's Day, this is kind of how it came about. And as I began thinking about the Lam Rim, the guided path to enlightenment, I can think of few people that get more of a chance to practice the three higher trainings of renunciation, concentration, ethics, concentration, and wisdom. And the Eightfold Path encompasses these three higher trainings. So, why do I see it that way? Ethics. So much about parenting is about raising children who are capable of leading an ethical life, knowing right from wrong and doing it, and being a model for them. Well, concentration, okay. Taking care of a screaming baby at 3 a.m. in the morning, when you're completely exhausted, takes more concentration than any of us can imagine. Try to do it without it. Good luck. I mean, talk about single-pointed concentration. I can stay awake. I can take care of this baby. I can stay awake. I can take care of this baby. Can stay awake. I can take care of this baby. Wisdom. I know that parenting is not actually seeing things as they ultimately exist. But it sure gets us to question how we see what is happening all the time. Now, in the many writings that I've read, and I'm not much of a student, you can ask Geshe Gillick. The teachings, they talk about it, but they don't give me, I'm kind of a slow learner. I need really concrete stuff. I might be annoyed at it, but I need it. But my readings of the Eightfold Path have been helpful. So I'm going to really just attempt to describe some of the ways in which they've been helpful to me, and how the Eightfold Path really does easily fit into the three higher trainings, and the guided path to enlightenment. This is probably going to go faster than I thought it was, so everybody might get out early. So what is the Eightfold Path and how does it fit in? This is my own description, but what I think that the Eightfold Path does for me in terms of attempting to live it is it's a way of stopping, calming, resting, and healing. But as we all know, Buddhist loves lists. You know, there's a book by David Snyder that is an entire book of lists. And it's 220 pages long. But, so what is included in ethics? It's right action, right speech, right livelihood. What is included in concentration? Right mindfulness, right effort, right conscious concentration. What is included in wisdom? Right intention and right thought. I'm going to start with right view. And actually, this is really the frame for the Eightfold Path because it's both at the beginning and at the end. And it's the big umbrella under which it all exists. So what is right view? First thing is it's a really, well, it's kind of like the six perfections. In the sense of the only people that can practice six perfections perfectly are bodhisattvas and enlightened beings. So the only people that can practice the Eightfold Path perfectly are bodhisattvas and enlightened beings. So, but the catch is you can't get there without practicing it. So it's, again, it's, work on making it. So it's some understanding or some attempt to understand and maybe internalize the Four Noble Truths, that there is suffering, there is a cause for it, there is a way for it to be, it can end, it can stop, and there's a way for it to be and there is a path for transforming it, to end it. Venerable Shariputra, one of the prime disciples of the Buddha, said that right view is knowing which of the four kinds of nutriments or nourishments we have ingested that have brought about what has occurred to us. And the four he included were just regular old food, good food, bad food, the food of sense impressions, the food of intention, and the food of consciousness. So we have both positive and negative. And I guess what the Eightfold Path for me is, it's a guide, it's tools for how to, I guess when they say to shop in the grocery store and to get healthy stuff, shop around the rim where the vegetables and the fruits and the other stuff is, and down the aisle is the chips and the cookies and the so it's kind of a way to stay around the outside. Well, that just came to me for what it's worth. I guess I was thinking about food and how difficult for me sometimes it is to make positive choices in that. And what's really wonderful is most of us have the positive circumstances so that we really have the capacity to choose. I've developed a new habit at the pool where I go. I don't know if anything knows about pools, but there's the filtration system, and there's these little baskets outside the pool where it kind of comes through, and periodically little frogs think that the pool is a pond, but the problem is there's no edge to the pond once they hop in and they can't get out. So often when I go, especially in the morning, I get to rescue frogs. And then I learned from the guy that was coming and doing the pool in the complex that sometimes they get swept up in the filter system, they end up in the basket and they drown. So now I've added, whenever I go up to the pool, I check all 4 baskets for frogs. But I guess the point about that isn't that I'm doing something good checking the basket for frogs. It's self-protection. I really don't like dead frogs in the pool. It's the notion that I have the capacity to make that choice. The frog doesn't have that capacity to make the choice. And that's something to rejoice in just every single day. Even when I make bad choices, I had the privilege of being able to do that. I had those positive circumstances that allowed me to do that, which, according to karma, is the result of past positive actions. So right view above all, is faith, belief, call it what you will, proof that karma, the law of cause and effect, is operating every nanosecond of our existence and all beings' existence. And to try and understand to the best of our ability the effects of karma. Now, being good Buddhists, in the Gloop tradition, we have a whole long list, and probably Venerable Rabina will talk about it, about, if you do this, that's how things might ripen. But the short thing is you attempt to do positive actions, probably positive things will happen to you. You do yucky actions, probably at some point, yucky things will happen. And this caught me up short when I heard this from a teacher I have a great respect for. The influence of the Buddha and the force of karma are equal. Oh boy, whoops, for me. Our actions create our circumstances, our feelings, and our experiences. So when good things happen, don't take it for granted. And when bad things happen, don't bellyache. A direct quote from Thupten Chodron. So that's only a partial picture of right view, and I'll talk more about it at the end. But the essence of right view, again, is confidence in karma, the law of cause and effect. And it's really, so that brings me to right intention, or it's often referred to as right thought. But I began, as I read more and more, I saw teachers had a lot of respect for referring to it as right intention. And I guess in some ways that makes sense, because if you think, when I think about it, there's absolutely nothing, even though I think that I do some things automatically, the truth is that I don't do them without thinking about it first. I mean, it's kind of the way it works. And there's 3 main components of right intention. The first is I'll go through them, but the first is the 3 are renunciation, benevolence, and compassion. So what is renunciation in this perspective? I mean, renunciation in the grand scheme of things is the absolute desire to know that samsara, even if it feels good at the moment, has really nothing to offer us in wanting to get out. I mean, that's the renunciation with the big R, or capital letters. But renunciation, how do we get there? It's abandoning both aversion and attachment. First to sense objects, and for me, I probably won't get any further than that in this lifetime, guys. I mean, it's a huge deal. Sense objects include all the things we, automatically think of. Taste, touch. We all recognize Geshe-la's iconic chocolate chip cookie from Whole Foods. What?
So which you can't actually eat.
Yeah, which he can't actually eat anymore. He says, one of his descriptions of this when he was diagnosed with diabetes, he said, "My karma for sugar has run out." And I haven't heard him use that phrase in a while, but it was one he would say. I think his karma, because he also really liked cheesecake. I think the man has exquisite taste. But it's not just sense objects. I mean, the sense objects include people. They include status and reputation. They include praise. Good feelings, bad feelings, because it all comes through, as sentient beings, it all comes through this. And, I might be able to, it encompasses the 8 worldly dharmas, which is. And so as a brief infomercial, Venerable Robina says that our most pervasive attachment is to reputation. And she very skillfully explains why, which I can't remember the explanation now, so I'm not going to share it. But she is teaching June 17th through the 23rd. And if you can attend any one or more of her talks, I just really recommend it. And I guess I recommend it for selfish reasons from my own perspective, because she is the iron hook that by accident I ended up at the center to accompany a neighbor. She never came back. I never left. And although she isn't the one that gave me permission to ordain, Geshe Gelik was, she is the iron hook that led to my sitting here in maroon. And so I think she can be of value. Come and find out if she's of value to you, please. So back to the talk. So if we can train ourselves in right intention, particularly renunciation, which is really looking at the sense objects that hook us. I mean, I'm clearly was hooked by this because I was, I'm giving this talk, and I don't particularly feel like falling flat on my face. I call it pride, call it and that's mixed with wanting to be of benefit. Can I give a talk that's of benefit? Yes. But it's not unrelated to wanting to be appreciated. Because the truth is that I could give a talk that was of great benefit, and everybody could consciously hate it, but it might have been of use or benefit, So I'm not there yet. Thinking is the I love this. This is from Thich Nhat Hanh. Thinking is the speech of our minds. Right thinking makes our speech, can make our speech clear and beneficial. So, and thinking has two parts, and this is kind of about right intention. This is how kind of you get to intention is there's an initial part, and then there's an initial thought, and then there's the developing thought. So here's an example. Initial thought. I am stopped at a red light. Developing thought. This light is always so long. What if I am late? I should have left earlier. Gone a different way. The story and judgments. So-and-so will be annoyed that I'm late. Yada, 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 yada. So the initial thought and the developing thought. And I think what right intentions gives us a chance to do is to sometimes short-circuit the developing thought. And what can the developing thought be about what's my intention? You know, why am I even at a stoplight? Because I'm trying to get to the center. You know, as the detective in Dragnet used to say, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. So continuing in terms of, you know, right thought, right intention, in the Pali text, they have some suggestions about how to check up on our intention. And the first is a question, am I sure? You know, incorrect perceptions cause incorrect thinking. And they cause suffering. Venerable Tendron, who spent 6 months at Plum Village before, when she was kind of discerning what kind of monastic life she would pursue, said that Thai, which is how Thich Nhat Hanh was referred to, when people would come to him in a snit, his first question would always be, are you sure? Are you sure? And she tells this great story of she was given the job of doing photocopying and collating and, you know, like 100 copies of something. And this is a lot of years ago when copy machines were not quite as frustrating and both frustrating and helpful as they are now. They're, you know, it's kind of like a car. When they work, it's great. When they don't work, bleh. So, and she was just getting, oh, they'll be upset with me. Oh, I've got to get it done. I've got to get it done. Da, da, da. And so she was like just in a dither, which she claims she's quite capable of. Having lived with her for a year, I can assure you that both she and I are capable of being in a dither. Usually at separate times, which is very good. But the person that had asked her to do it came in and noticed that she was very, very, you know, and she said, "What's wrong?" You know, and you know, what's the problem? And Tendron said, "Bah, da, da," and the nun said, "How many copies do you have to make?" Tendron said, "How many?" She said, "I want you to see how long it takes to make one copy, and, you know, from start to finish. And then I want you then go to the person that asked you to do this and multiply it by the time and tell them how long the job is going to take." End of story. Yeah, there was nothing that was going to change the amount of time it was going to take to do the number of copies. And Tendron said, she said, it just was like, whew, when she came back to what is. That is a really hard thing for me to do. I don't always come back to what is. And so the question is, the next question is, what am I doing, you know? Right here, right now. Now, the other one is a little, well, the next one is your response, what, in the phrase, the translation that I saw was called habit energy. You know, my default mode when things are when, is often fear and anger. You know, and the suggestion is just say, hello, here you are again. Here you are again. And that if we can just recognize, again, it's about the stopping. It's about the stopping. You know, rather than fighting it, is just recognizing. And at some point, this habit energy was a friend. It probably had a really good function, you know. But now it's not so useful because it's become default. It's not choice. It doesn't feel like choice. So when we really kind of accept these ingrained way of thinking and stop fighting with them, they lose some of their strength. At least that's what they tell me. I'll let you know when I get there. And if you can calm yourself, the last thing is to attempt to remember the intention we often set at the beginning of the day is, may my actions be of benefit for myself and others. And coming back to that. And all of that is really about renunciation, because it's really letting go of, as Geshe-la would say, my way or the highway. The third part of right thought is benevolence. It's the motivation of kindness toward others. You know, what's the Dalai Lama say? Be kind. Be kind whenever possible, and it's always possible. But it's kind of an initial trust, until really proven otherwise, that the other guy isn't out to get you. And the last one is compassion, the one we often come back to, which is the wish for all beings to be free of suffering. Most of us practice kind of common compassion, which is, you know, there's an object to our compassion. I don't know if it's great compassion, but a larger form of compassion is what they call objectless compassion. You know, it's just compassion that pervades all. Joan Halifax, who's Zen Buddhist, was talking about compassion, and she was talking about a cone, which I don't understand any of those things, but this one she explained, so that was good. And the cone included adjusting your pillow at night, and kind of like what and how it was akin, and the students said, you know, it's you know, and it was about the hands and eyes of Avalokiteshvara. You know, the 1,000 arms with the eye and the hand being, you know, the action, and the eye being the wisdom. But the upshot of it is the students said, you know, it's the hands and eyes, you know, all over the body. And the teacher said, well, that's 80% of it. So the student said, well, what do you see? And he said, the hands and eyes throughout the body. And Joan Halifax went on to say, that's the depth of the compassion of, the Bodhisattva's force. But also, she said, it's also a reminder that our true nature is one of compassion. So now that, and this is a speed version of the Eightfold Path, by the way, everybody. Every one of these topics could take years. So now that we've talked about right view and right thought, which really are the wisdom wings, in a sense, when we get to the big right view. But how do we live it out in the world? And that's the ethics, and the ethics in the Eightfold Path are, right action, right speech, right livelihood. Usually when we talk about ethics, we often talk about, the things you don't do. You don't lie, you don't steal, you don't sexual misconduct, you don't and I think having a view of ethics for me that is just all the list of things that I don't do, first of all, can help me feel virtuous. Because I don't do this, I don't do that, But, what is right action? And I think it's the practice of doing no harm and touching with love. Certainly what parents attempt to do. Back to the job of being a parent. Good luck, guys. And it's the practice of nonviolence towards ourself and others. And I was getting ready for this talk, I was thinking about, I did something in the kitchen that means I had to do something else again. I had to, and there was a phrase my mother used to say very often to herself. She would say, "Oh, that, you stupid thing," and I apparently internalized it much more than I thought, because, I'll do something in the kitchen like not fill up the tea kettle and turn it on and be surprised when I don't get hot water. And it makes nasty noises. And so, as I was getting ready to this talk, I thought, I really need to stop saying that word, but I'm really not capable of not saying a word that describes what I think of the action yet. I'm not, I'm not at the place of just saying, oh, you forgot to put water in the tea kettle. So what I've been trying to substitute, rather than the word stupid, is, oh, silly. Oh, silly. Because for me, that doesn't carry quite the pejorativeness, the punishment, the violence toward myself. Because I'm certainly not the brightest light bulb in the room, but I'm not stupid because I forgot to fill the tea kettle. So it is. It's not just about killing. It's about protecting life. It's not just about stealing. It's about generosity. It's not just about unwise or abusive sexual behavior. It's a commitment to intimacy in a way that nourishes yourself and your partner. Or it's a commitment to not being in intimacy because you're not capable of that. And it's respectful consumption. Do I really need this? And I think that's really simple when I think about the environment now, and I think about the kind of, whatever. I'm thinking about what's enough. So is part of right action my asking myself what's enough? And then there are mental actions. You know, there's jealousy and envy. And at the very least, you know, like there's like, gee, I'm jealous of Bill Gates because he has billions of dollars that he can, you know, have a foundation and do all sorts of stuff with. And I have a great imagination with what I'd do if I had that much money. In fact, I entertain myself with it on a regular basis. And most of it is how much fun I would have making other people happy. I mean, not that I would never have to drive a car again if I was rich. But somebody would have a job. But it's not about that. It's like, yeah, I'm really glad you have it, and I'm really glad you're doing well with it. And I would sure enjoy having it too. You know? I mean, now I can extend it and be generous, but at the same time, you know, that's a good enough place to start. You know? Being happy that they have what they have and thinking how much you'd enjoy it if you had it too. And really rejoicing when they share it. You know, and then there's malicious intent, you know. I hope you fall down and hurt yourself. You know, I mean, just, you know, wanting some person's action to have a negative result for them. It's like my fantasy when people are just, you know, going 100 miles an hour on the belt line, or, you know, somebody has cut you off, or the third car through the red light. The first two don't count, you know, that's the new rule. And you're just wishing a cop would kind of descend from above and give them their comeuppance. So far, it hasn't happened. Although a friend of mine did tell me about getting a speeding ticket because their picture got taken going through a red light. And so the last one is, in some ways, the most dangerous of right action, which is you not believing in the law of karma. And seeing myself and my experiences and my circumstances and others as having a solid, inherent, unchanging existence. And why is this dangerous? It's dangerous for me because it really keeps me, you know, when something negative has happened, I get stuck in the negative, and then I'm not able to accept or enjoy when from that same person or that same situation something positive comes. I wouldn't recognize it if I fell over it. So that's why, you know, it's so important for me. And that's right action. And I think it takes a belief in karma. I mean, you know, even if you don't karma, but at least some belief in cause and effect. And some kind of right intention to even be willing to take a look at our actions. So, next one is right speech. And I love this. Speech is the way our thinking expresses itself out loud. Our thoughts are no longer our private possessions. Oh boy. How often have I just wished I'd kept it unpublished? You know, because once it's published, forget it. It's over. Or I now have something I have to clean up. So again, stopping, calming, And how do I stop and calm? I don't know how people here stop and calm. But I was thinking about that. So how does this tradition that I attempt to practice being the operant word here, help me stop and calm? And I was thinking of how often, and I don't want this to sound holy, please. I'm not good at watching the breath. I'm not good at, but saying the refuge prayer. And I think it comes because of teachers that have told me that the Buddha is a refuge. That the Buddhas, and that they're everywhere. They can't do it for me. As again, the influence of the Buddha and the force of karma. Boop, boop, boop. But the wisdom is always there, and that somewhere deep under all the mud is a Buddha nature that I can cultivate. And the refuge prayer reminds me of that. And so I go to that place. Sometimes it's going to the pool and going swimming. I mean, it's not, and sometimes it's playing a word game on my iPad because it just distracts me and I interrupt the loop. If it keeps me from doing, and I said, no, that's not Dharma, guys. There's nowhere in the Sanskrit or the Pali canon where it says play word games on your iPad. But if it keeps me from making a call where I make a jerk of myself, thank you, Buddha. Thank you, whatever person that created this word game, Yippee! But back to right speech. So, speaking truthfully, okay, that this is green, that's yellow. Unless you're colorblind, that could be a problem. But you're still not lying. But it is never a justification of telling someone just what you think. Oh, I'm just telling the truth. I must speak my truth. Well, never speak your truth when you're going like this. It probably won't work. And then there's, the forked tongue, saying one thing to one person and on the same topic saying something different to another person. Now, there's some people that we share more than with others, but most of the time that's the motivation behind that is I don't know what the motivation is. It can be to be a part of, it can be to thought well of, it can be to cause disharmony. And then, there's divisive speech, setting people against each other. But one of the things I would really like to say is that not agreeing is not, disagreeing about something is not disharmony. Because we're never all going to agree. And we may have to agree to disagree. But I think what is difficult, I think where disharmony comes from often, is our unwillingness to put up with the discomfort of trying to come to a harmonious conclusion, which could be you go your way and I go my way. It's not a question of us all being on the same page. But above all, it's a question of respect and attempting to truly listen to what the other person is saying. And I think that's where disharmony arises, is when people feel unheard and disrespected. And it may be something coming back at you because you weren't so respectful. I'm not saying there wasn't a cause there, but I'm saying that's finally kind of how it perpetuates itself. And the last goes back to be kind whenever possible, and it's always kind. And I think one of the most powerful ways in which we can be kind is with our speech. To not slander, to not gossip, to not use harsh words. It's interesting that one of the children here said they yell. You know? So words can certainly be toxic, and sometimes I publish them, and that's not so good. It's not good for me, it's not good for you. And I think I come back to, in our minds, the seeds in our minds are seeds of Buddha, and also many fetters or obscurations. And also, again, I go back to that habit energy, calling myself stupid because I do something as silly as forget to turn on the kettle, which is highly annoying when I forget to turn on the kettle and I go upstairs to make my bed and I come back down to pour my tea and I still can't pour it because there's no hot water. And to really recognize that our words are very powerful. Now, the last one I really have a problem with. It's called to not exaggerate or embellish. That it's a form of lying. Well, it can create unnecessary drama. So I'm not quite sure where humor fits into this, because much humor is dependent on exaggeration or pointing out a contrast and exaggerating the contrast. So since I love to laugh, as everybody knows here, I'm going to probably continue to embellish and exaggerate. But it really helps me take myself less seriously. I mean, when you kind of think through the extreme, it's like, oh, get over it. I'm speaking to myself. So what are the tools for right speech? And I'm sure you've seen them. Is it true? Is it kind or at least neutral? And is it necessary now? There's a lot of times when something might need to be said, but now is not the time. And will it be of benefit? Besides my satisfaction of I said my piece. Deep listening is the foundation of right speech. And that's really a hard one, to truly listen, to let go of my agenda or what I want to say next so that I actually hear what the other person is saying. I think it really happens, and it's not just me, I really think it happens a lot with emails because we get so many emails. I have a lot of times when I will answer an email and I didn't answer the question because I read it so fast or I only read part of it and I didn't sit and say, well, what is or to really realize I didn't understand what the person was asking and ask for clarification. And I think electronics makes it really, because zip, zip, and then texting. Whoa. Talk about making your thoughts public. Deep listening nourishes both the speaker and the listener. And it's true. One of the greatest gifts I have of being here at the center is that sometimes people ask to talk to me. They just want me to listen. They might have a question. And I consider that an extraordinary privilege. And I would say it's hopefully that experience nourishes the person to whom I'm listening, and it certainly often nourishes me. So this is, to practice mindfulness of speech, sometimes we have to practice silence. My sister went on a first, silent retreat years and years ago. And she said, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm not going to be able to talk to anybody for 5 days. And she said, well, by noon I didn't have to worry about it. I'd had at least 45 conversations with myself, and I would have plenty. I didn't have to worry about being silent because there was no silence in my head. But what the person says about silence is that when we are silent, we can look and see what our views and what our eternal knots have given rise to our thinking. Right livelihood. And this is a challenge for people. Right livelihood is about finding a way of making a living that doesn't transgress your ideals. Hey, enjoy England and Ireland. Have a great time. She's gone for a month. She's doing a music tour of Ireland. Is that cool or what? You have to see. That's an example of well, no, I'm not jealous. I don't like to travel. Finding a way to earn a living that doesn't transgress your ideals, your ideas of love and compassion. And a way that you can really be true to yourself. And that it's not a source of suffering for yourself or others. So, and it's not always easy. And I think about parents who are trying to have enough money to raise their kids, and some of the hard choices about making a living that they often have to make, at least temporarily. So what are the supports for this within the Eightfold Path? They're right mindfulness, right concentration, and right effort. And see, it's 11:46. I'm closing in on it. Right mindfulness is the energy that brings us back to the present moment. We are always giving our attention to something. Right mindfulness doesn't try to evaluate. It just tries to, again, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. So the Buddha offers 4 foundations of mindfulness. Our body, our feelings, our mind, and the objects of our mind. When we're truly present and are mindful, we can be a refuge for ourselves and others. So, mindfulness of the body. We do a fair amount with beginning, meditation here with, the breath. Scanning your body. I think there's this. Did I lose that page? Could have. That's annoying. Okay. And without mindfulness, we really can't concentrate, which means we can't think deeply. You know, feelings is the next one. And our feelings are not separate from ourselves. They're not something outside of us. Our feelings are us. And for the moment, that's just what is. And it's recognizing that. If we can face our feelings and accept them with care and affection, if they're positive, it nourishes us. If they're negative and we really accept them, their strength will diminish. At least that's what they say. And I found that to be true sometimes. The third establishment of mindfulness is our mind. And again, we could spend weeks on this, guys. Weeks, months, years. And the third is the mindfulness of the mind, kind of what we call metta. You know, what are our mental formations? You know, anything that's made of something else is a formation, and certainly we can do it mentally. And there's wholesome ones and unwholesome ones. The wholesome ones help us transform our suffering. The unwholesome ones perpetuate it. So it's non-craving, non-anger, non-ignorance, ease, care, equanimity, non-violence. Unwholesome, I really like this, unwholesome formations are like a tangled ball of string. When we try to untangle it, we only kind of end up wound up more in it. You know, it's our afflictions, klesha, that bring pain to ourselves and others. Our obscurations, we don't see things very clearly, they obscure us. And what are they? They're greed, hatred, all of the things that in the ethics that we're attempting to let go of. I think the fourth establishment of mindfulness, which is the objects of our mind, I think it really is helpful in realizing it's part of the subject of knowledge cannot exist independently from the object of knowledge. So our mind and the object are not that separate. It helps us see the interdependence and interbeing of things. It helps us choose wholesome objects. When we practice mindfulness, we generate the energy of the Buddha within us and around us that can benefit ourselves and all others. Right effort. In the 6 perfections, we call it joyous effort. This is a little bit of a different slant on it, but it helps. There are 4 practices of right diligence. Again, lists. Don't you love lists? I hate lists. Because I can never remember them all. I can get 3 out of the 4, 2 out of the 3, 5 out of the 6. And again, it's what we've been talking about. It's preventing unwholesome seeds from arising. And it's helping the unwholesome seeds that have arisen to diminish. When unwholesome seeds arise, you got to do something about it. when unwholesome seeds, I like this, when unwholesome seeds haven't arisen, our job is to help them sleep peacefully until they can be transformed. And finding ways to water the wholesome seeds. Rabina often talks about, in a garden, if you don't weed it, you pull out the weeds, you water the seeds you want. And that's a kind of joyous effort. And nourishing the wholesome seeds that are that aren't present, to help them arise. And we do this for ourselves and others. One of the things in the tradition we have about joyous effort is that no matter what anybody asks you to do, you say yes. And you're always joyous. No matter what you do, you say yes. You say yes. Even when you're exhausted, you keep saying yes. You keep saying yes. And the thing that I really liked about this definition that helped me, because I'm not very good at doing that, is if we lack right diligence, it is because we have not found a way to practice that is true for us, or have not felt deeply the need to practice. If we have joy and ease, our effort will come naturally, which doesn't mean it's always easy. It just means, oh, okay, I can, whatever. So, waking up so there's this little gatha, or verse. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. Look at your practice. See what brings you joy and happiness of a sustained kind. So you can just wake up and smile. I have a friend years ago, in her mid-80s, said to me, she said, I woke up this morning and I wiggled my toes and I was just deliciously happy. And if you knew this woman's story, you would be surprised she'd be happy about anything. Okay, so this brings me to concentration, which is, I'm sorry, it is just way above my pay grade. But I'm going to give it a shot. There are two there's a Chinese term for concentration that says it's the abode of the true mind. And there are two kinds of concentration, active and selective. An active concentration, the mind, it just pays attention to whatever is happening in the present moment, even as it changes. So this was the verse that followed. A silver bird flies over the autumn lake. When it has passed, the lake's surface does not try to hold on to the image of the bird. So here's my example of it. We couldn't keep breathing if we held on to the last breath. Life would be very short. Or at least this life would be very short. Thank you. So it's really about trying to live deeply in the moment. And now I know that there's, if in our tradition there's 9 stages of there's samadhi, and then, there's concentration and then insight. But this is as far as I can go with it, guys. I'm just still stuck back at the mindfulness thing. If I can do that, I'll be good. The greatest internal formation that we have is ignorance. Ignorance of the reality of impermanence and non-self. This gives rise to greed, hatred, confusion. Afflictions produce a war of consciousness called maras. There are delusions. And it will always discriminate self from other. Which brings us back to right view. The seed of... So we have to look deeply into them to be free of them. So it is clear vision, seeing things as they are, that we achieve the wisdom, realizing emptiness. And the right view frames all of the rest of the Eightfold Path. Because without being ethical, we can't even begin to get there, and without doing the other parts of it. Matter of fact, it's not possible to practice one element of it without the rest. They inform each other. It is the nature of our interdependence and our inner being. The final teaching of the Buddha. Do not commit any unwholesome actions. Engage in perfect wholesome actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. Stopping, calming, resting, healing. I believe that is the path to liberation and finally enlightenment. Liberation and enlightenment end our suffering, and they finally enable us to be of the greatest benefit to others. Well, I gave this my best shot. I'm toast. There's playing in the water in my future. Thanks. So, Donna, would you lead the closing prayers? Would you mind doing that? Thank you very, very much. Thank you all for being here. Lama Yeshe has this wonderful thing. There's this one film I saw of him where he's walking into the Gampa, and as he's walking into the Gampa, there's all these people, and he's going, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he says, you know, I couldn't offer the Dharma if you weren't here to listen to it. So thank you very, very, very much. And have a great day.
Okay, on pages 246 and 247 in the Gold Prayer Book. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then flip back one page, and we'll say the short, long life prayers for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for Khensa Rinpoche, and for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. The one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Awatare, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and void, Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjana's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 And of course, we always have a couple of announcements. I think Jill's got one to start with.
Good morning, Becca. I see her smiley face right there. So we've changed our tradition a little bit for the newcomer orientation, newcomer Q&A. So it's going to be every Sunday from now on, just for brief, like maybe 15 minutes or less. And so just meet in the Kadampa right afterwards, and Becca will give you a little tour de force about that. And then today, after the right now, if you'd like to join us outside, anybody who can help, even just for a few minutes, we're just going to try to tidy up the back garden and the grounds, preparing for Venerable Rabina. So anybody who can do that, if we have enough people, it won't take long. That's it. You're up. Thank you, dear.
Hi, I'm Jason. I greet pretty much every Sunday. I'm sure you've seen me. I'm here to speak about Venerable Rabina's coming. She's coming tomorrow. I've never met her either, so it'll be a first for me also. This is a rare opportunity, as only a few visiting teachers come to our center each year. In the East, throughout the 2,500 plus years of Buddhist tradition, students supported monasteries and their teachers by offering food and sometimes robes, shelter, and medical care, because they treasure the Dharma teachings and spiritual guidance that the teachers provided. In the West, visiting teachers open a world of possibilities by providing a different Dharma perspective. They're part of a lineage that goes all the way back to the Buddha. One way to show our respect for these teachings and to assure this tradition remains for the future is by donating or sponsoring the teachings. Sponsorship allows the center to continue offering teachings at no charge, providing live streaming as well as an archive so you can refer to them on YouTube. Given the Dharma is the greatest generosity of all. Your sponsorship makes teachings available to others both now and in the future. So if you've never checked out any, this is not on the page, but if you've never checked out any of our teachings, you can go back years and look at all of our teachings from visiting teachers. It's really cool to check that out. When a visiting teacher comes to Kadampa Center, it's like going on a retreat or attending a seminar. When you get to explore a theme in depth, best part is you get to go home, feed your dog, and sleep in your own bed. We gratefully accept donations of any amount. Sponsorship starts at $108, which includes your dedication posted to the sponsorship wall, which is on the back door, the door right out here, and an invitation to the sponsor's tea. If you have any questions about Venerable Rabina's visit, please ask Donna, our spiritual coordinator, right there. If you have any questions about sponsoring, please ask Jill Marie, right there, our center manager. All right. Any questions about that? All right. Next.
And I have just a couple of quick things. We've emptied the room, it looks like. First of all, you can see we've got this beautiful offering table here. We had Tara practice yesterday where we recited praises to the 21 Taras. So we need to take down the table, and it would be wonderful to have a few volunteers to help with that. And just to give you an update on the praises to 21 Taras, You'll notice that we're saying them every Sunday, and we say them Wednesday nights. And this is to help us fulfill Lama Zopa Rinpoche's advice to us. And he's the spiritual director of FPMT, and he leads the Light of the Path retreats that we have been honored to be able to host. And he requested that we say 100,000 praises to the 21 Taras in order to remove obstacles to having that retreat here next year. And there are obstacles, so helping make this happen is really important. Our group that came yesterday brought us over the 20,000 mark, so we're a fifth of the way there. And I counted 48 people this morning who were helping say the praises. And if every one of those 48 people said one Tara praise a day and entered it, then that's 17,000 in a year. So, and if you were saying 2 or 3, you know, we're trying to get there, but we've only got a year, so we're working on it. But I'm really excited that we've hit an important milestone. Lots of people have mentioned Venerable Robina, so I don't think I need to go in that too much. She's going to be teaching every night this coming week, starting tomorrow night, and she'll do a weekend workshop next week, but we'll have regular Sunday teachings with her next Sunday. But other important stuff is happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sakadawa Duchen, which is the full moon day in the month of Sakadawa. So this whole month that we're in is a holy month. And tomorrow morning at 5:15, I think. I'm looking at Patrick because he's the one who's going to be here to open the center. Geshe Sangpo will be giving the precepts. Mahayana precepts is a set of vows that you take for a full day, and so Geshe Sangpo will be here to lead that if you wanted to come. Also, Venerable Lama will be doing an animal liberation and blessing in the afternoon at, I think, 3 o'clock, yes. I don't have my bulletin in front of me. So those are all great opportunities to come. And of course, you can always come and do practice during the day, although it's going to be busy in the Kadampa getting things set up for Venerable Robina. Also, to give you a heads up, in 2 weeks, Geshe Sangpo will be giving refuge in here at the beginning of the Sunday morning teachings. We need you to register for it if you wanted to take refuge. Taking refuge in the 3 jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, that is making a commitment that Buddhism is your spiritual path. So you can find out more about it online. If you would like to be part of that, you need to register a few days by, I think, Thursday. And you can sponsor Refuge, which is kind of a wonderful thing to sponsor people entering the path. And then just give you a heads up, you know, we celebrate, in this country, we celebrate political independence on the 4th of July, but all over the world we get to celebrate a kind of spiritual independence when we celebrate His Holiness's birthday, which is on the 6th of July. And we're kind of going all out this year. On His Holiness's actual birthday, which is a Saturday, we're going to have another animal liberation and blessing starting at 10:45 in the morning, I think. And then in the evening, starting at 5 o'clock, we're going to have music at the stupa, and there'll be some snacks and things to enjoy. I think John Carlson is going to come and play, so that'll be nice. Geshe Sangpo will be coming. He's bringing some Tibetan guests from South Carolina, including a fellow who was a prize winner in singing, so I think we're going to have some other singing there, so that'll be fun. On Sunday morning, we'll do our usual celebration of His Holiness's birthday. We'll have a big throne here, and we'll have a celebration with cake and stories, and it'll be fun. And then a week later, we are going to do our 3rd annual blood drive in honor of His Holiness's birthday. So all of those things are great options to be part of, and you can find out details about all of them on our website. And now you can all go and have a wonderful afternoon. Oh, except Elise wants to make an announcement. So you can't go have a great afternoon, but also do help with the Tara altar.
I just really wanted to acknowledge and thank those volunteers who came out yesterday to join a group of interfaith people to work on Habitat for Humanity. 4 homes got help with cleaning, painting, installing cabinets, so thank you all so much. And if you couldn't be there physically, your intentions are very helpful. We collected All of you brought in 220 pounds of food for the needy so far. So keep it up to the end of June. It's really needed. And we're collecting eyeglasses for the gift of sight till the end of July. Thank you.
At least the food drive is still going.
Right? Yes.
It's still going.
Still going to the end of June. Keep it going.